Welcome to Sitting with Sallie. My guest today is Helena Devins, who is a board member of LOWAC, Lake of the Woods Arts Community. And we are certainly going to talk about Artsfest, but first I would like to talk about LOWAC, and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me in, Sallie. Yes, we'll talk about the Lake of the Woods art community because it also brings arts to the Kenora community.
I was so excited. I was talking about it before I even said hello to you. So what is LOWAC?
So the Lake of the Woods art community was created in 2008 with a group of artists who wanted to have a strong, more vibrant and present space in the community. They came from multiple disciplines, and they then incorporated as a non-for-profit in 2011. And so since the beginning, LOWAC has showed emerging voices of artists in our community and surrounding area.
And they really have been involved in many things in Kenora, but I think sometimes we don't even attribute it to LOWAC.
Oh yes, I mean it's very interesting because it definitely gives a voice to artists and gives a good face to how other community organizations can partner with LOWAC and artists in our community.
And at one time, I think there was a vicious rumor that Kenora was a bit of an artistic wasteland.
So Money Sense magazine said in 2011 that Kenora was a cultural wasteland, and Kenora was rated low in culture. And so many community magazines and LOWAC sort of took that and flipped it on its head. And in 2018, both Stuff Magazine and The Cottage Guide published magazine articles and or series about how Kenora was now an art explosion. And Stuff Magazine even had multiple covers for their one edition that showed different disciplines and different artisans in the forefront.
And we were trying to find an old copy, but weren't able to.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I was researching it, I saw Holly Ann Friesen, and I know that they had John Paul Levand, who's an Indigenous artist in our community, Olivia Winden, Erin MacGyver with her dance works. So it definitely captured these different artisans on the front page, but unfortunately we couldn't find a copy because it was such an explosion and people they were flying off the shelves clearly.
And can you just elaborate a bit more on LOWAC's purpose?
So LOWAC's purpose is to foster and promote the spirit of creativity in Kenora and the surrounding areas on Lake of the Woods. We aim to provide a strong voice for arts in the city of Kenora and the Lake of the Woods area. It's important to foster relationships among artists and the community at large, organizations, businesses, municipal, provincial, and federal governments, as well as being able to bring artists of different disciplines together, involved in music, visual arts, writing, performing arts, etc.
So it is for artists amongst themselves, but it's also broader than that for the artist community to reach out to other people in Kenora.
Well, I mean, I am not an artist by trade, and it's about connecting to the community and bringing the arts to the forefront in different areas and seeing art throughout our community and getting more people involved in the arts, because we all can be artists in our own right, just not necessarily professional artists.
And even if not artists, appreciate art, because that's really important. And I think one of the community connections is that LOWAC has had a long relationship with Lake of the Woods Museum.
Yes, so I mean, LOWAC has had a long-standing relationship with the Lake of the Woods Museum, including the Kenora Ward's Brides exhibit. And I mean, you think of the fact that up until 2018, there was only the museum, and now there's the whole Muse campus or Muse grounds that has the Lake of the Woods Museum and the Douglas Family Art Center. And then we put Artsfest in Memorial Park. So it was that whole ambient area of an art.
Breathing and living
Yes,
art.
Yes.
And I know LOWAC has been involved in other projects too, with sort of reimagining and redefining what art is. And some of the public art I've just loved, like Muskies on Main.
Muskies on Main was a really fun project.
A muskie everywhere.
Well, I mean, LOWAC put out the call for artists to, in any medium, to create muskies. They did have, I think, either a foam or plasticine form if you wanted to be then decorating on that form, but other artists took it and ran with it. There was driftwood muskies, there was wire muskies, there was, I think, even some fused glass.
Yes.
And so it was the fact that Husky the Muskie is over there in McLeod Park area, but muskie people are always hunting for that muskie, and so wasn't it fun to have a long Main Street and down to the harbor front, and now we even have a muskie at the Discovery Center from that.
It really was fun, and it's hard to realize that was in 2014.
I know.
Yes.
And all of these muskies were silent auctioned off, so it was a great fundraiser for LOWAC, as well as a different way to represent the fish that are underneath the lake.
And I see a few every so often, but I'm sorry there aren't more. But the other one that I really remember was the paddles, the dip, dip, and swing.
Dip, Dip, and Swing was definitely a really fun and vibrant project because it had two non-artistic events related to it. Because in 2017, Kenora hosted the Canada Summer Games rowing events on Rabbit Lake, as well as for 2017 with the Canada 150, we opened the Trans-Canada Trail that went from Thunder Bay to Whiteshell, and Kenora's part is actually a canoe route, or you can hike it. And so the Dip, Dip, and Swing had artists painting on rowing sculls, doing different things with paddles. There was a glass canoe that multiple artisans worked on. And so it was, and I know that Laurie Dufresne, again, she had wire with the muskies, and then she did this sort of rushing river with two people in a canoe, and so you could feel the movement. So all of these mediums for how Dip, Dip, and Swing could be represented.
And I just remember some of the paddles were so beautifully done.
Well, and they were hung and adorning the harbor front boardwalk.
Yeah. And of course, what is still with us today, the Festivals of Trees.
Yes, the Festival of Trees is a great event run by the Community Foundation, but LOWAC artisans have created many ornaments and trees to go towards the fundraising efforts of the Festival of Trees.
And we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about Artsfest coming up. Welcome back to Sitting with Sallie. I have Helena Devins as my guest. She's a board member of LOWAC. And last year, Artfest 2022 was the first time Artfest had been held since 2019 because of COVID, of course. And it was a huge success.
It was a huge success. Of course, you almost forget about the Artsfests that were along 2nd Street. And so having it move to the Memorial Park or the Muse grounds and be snuggled between those two cultural and artistic staples in our community versus your typical street festival and summer events was just a different atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. And also it being off the street helped too.
Well, off the street and bringing it still was a big, vibrant event while being intimate and amongst those buildings, and you could mill about and make your way through, take in some of the performing arts, go into the museum, go into the art gallery, see the artisans that were selling their wares, as well as demonstrations and workshops. And
it was not just artists, there were performing artists, there was kids, there's potters, painters, writers.
I mean, we have too many things to even name. There was jewelers and potters and graphic design. Esme was making harps. There was theater. There was music that even amongst the rain, the music moved inside and was a jazzy sound in the living room that is in the museum. And then there was Indigenous youth that did a fashion show inside and out both days. And so it just was all encapsulating.
And just as exciting, I think, is Matt Kennedy created a video of Artsfest 2022. Matt Kennedy of Upriver Media.
Yes, it was great to work with Upriver Media. He captured the energy of it all, spotlighting different vendors, spotlighting different performances, as well as getting feedback from attendees, volunteers, and organizers.
Okay. And you can find this video on YouTube, and we are going to watch it right now.
Everyone is an artist. That's the thing. Everyone is an artist. Art should be like a more central part of our lives, I think.
I create art because I don't know anything else. It just draws me in all the time. I could sit in the basement for hours and practice. It just gives everything back to me.
My favorite part of the creative process is the freedom to sort of express ideas that come through and create things that other people connect with.
I think that art can be really liberating and meaningful and shake things up.
It's really healing for me. You know, as an Indigenous person, we've gone through a lot of trauma.
My love is Lake of the Woods. I paint every single day, and I love delving into the history of the place I grew up in.
It's such an outlet for creativity, and I get up in the morning in order to go to the studio and do some work.
And the more we can share our gift, the better it is for everyone.
Making art is a form of communicating. I could do it all day.
It's a chance to explore your boundaries and a chance to see what you can do.
It's a good way to find your happy place.
We all have something to say, something we want to share.
The artistic community in Northwestern Ontario is amazing.
I think it's the beauty that surrounds us, and when you're open to that and you let it find its way into your art, you know, you're pretty lucky, and the people around you are lucky too.
Uju, Mijakwan Ndago, Makwan Dundam, Wajishkanigan Nation Dunji. My English name is Janine Seymour, and I am excited to be here at Artsfest today.
We have artists of all kinds: painters, potters, writers, performers, fashion. Artsfest is a little bit of everything.
This is my first time participating in an event like this, so just want to absorb the experience and hopefully just improve and get better.
It feels really special for me to actually come home and actually do this for the place that I grew up, because I know there's such a fun need for all of the kids to kind of come out and see some really cool theater.
Our stories are really rooted in like taking care of the environment, taking care of each other. We hope that, you know, through humor we can relay those messages to children.
I almost exclusively sell at shows for the pure reason that I like to see people face to face.
You need to have this. This is community.
I'm going to try not to get weepy because it's beautiful, and there's just so much beautiful positive energy as you walk around. People are just so happy to be here together in this amazing space. It's a new use of this space, I think, and everybody's just loving it.
This is spiritual, and having us, our regalia, alive, standing there proud as descendants, as intergenerational survivors, and together as community, and have the greater community embrace us is so beautiful.
And I'm so happy that the rain didn't come, it was promised, so that I could sit out around there and just be in the middle of it all and telling story and playing the harp, and people heard it.
It really gives you an appreciation of how talented people are.
Very inspiring being here.
Events like this remind us that we are a part of a community and that it's important to think of others and not just ourselves.
The museum and the Art Center are all about art culture. To bring it outside into the street gives it greater exposure, makes it more accessible to people.
Providing things for the community that are free and that are accessible to all different kinds of families, like that feels very special to me, and I think it's sometimes really hard to access free programming.
You know, it's so nice to be able to see people, talk to them, share my book, so it's very valuable.
What do I get out of this? I get everything. I get purpose, I get direction, I get validation that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and I really feel honored to be walking aside the people that I'm with.
We've had a long haul the last couple of years with COVID, and I think the arts for a lot of people have really been a saving grace.
So as soon as we knew that we could get together again, that was really important to us, to bring people back together. And the objective of LOWAC, as is Artsfest, is always to foster that creativity in this very, very rich and diverse community.
Lake of the Woods Arts Community, that's what it's called, that's what it's about. Our whole mandate is creating arts opportunities for artists.
There's so many youth out there that has so much talent in our Indigenous community, and we really want to encourage them to express themselves.
We want to give artists a voice, and I think artistic voice in a community helps to add to the vibrancy of community.
And as well as broaden what our idea of art is. You know, art is writing, art is dance, art is theater. It's all of these things.
And without people, it doesn't function. So come on down.
You can really tell in this market that there's a lot of effort by other artists to make this a good place to be a vendor.
It feels so good to know that we could pull this off, that this was a success, that we're changing this entire park into this festival setting. Just seeing people set up and the amount of work that we have represented here is just so meaningful to me.
Hats off to LOWAC. They've done a tremendous job organizing it. They should be very proud of themselves.
These events aren't just important, these are essential.
And you know, you see kids when they pick something up, they're interested, and they go, "You made this?" I'm like, "And you can make it too. You can make it too." Everyone's able to make something beautiful. More people are able to appreciate it. I mean, what's humanity without art? Animals. We're all just animals, right?
That was a great video. You could feel the emotion and energy. I mean,
it was a perfect day too.
Well, and it was I liked that Jade said it was almost coming home to where she grew up, and now she was bringing her Here and Now theater and getting the kids up and going. You got to see the Kids Zone, the Writers Circle, the fashion show, the music, artisans, Kiefer with his pottery and saying that we all can be artists. Why not try?
And it really made me excited for Artfest 2023.
Yes, it is definitely a good lead-in to the fact that you can feel the energy, you can feel the emotion. Leanne was so emotional about it, and we are just getting more and more excited for doing it all over again this year.
It's nice that it was such a huge success. It really is.
Well, and it was a huge success for residents, for visitors, for artists that might not have necessarily gone to markets. One of the fellows said, "I've never been to a show like this." And so it is such a great opportunity for all ages to get out and enjoy the arts and show their arts.
And afterwards, you did a survey to see how both artists and participants and citizens, I guess, felt about it.
Yes, so we had 94.5 people said they would attend Artsfest again, and 47%, so almost half of the people that attended, said they would volunteer.
And one of the things that came out of it was, instead of a 2-day festival, this year, Arts 2023 is going to be 1 day.
So we're going back down to a one-day festival. The feedback from vendors and visitors favored a one-day festival, and it will still be full of a variety of artisans and as vibrant as last year.
And that 1 day is going to be on
July 15th.
Which is a Saturday.
Which is a Saturday. And back on the Muse campus in Memorial Park on the Muse grounds.
And of course, the weather's going to be fantastic.
It should be, well, even if it's not fantastic, Silver sunshine is still an enjoyable day.
It's still summer.
Out in the arts.
Yeah. In LOWAC's December newsletter, I noted that it said that the membership had increased from about 30 members in 2021 to 70 members, a huge increase.
Yes, it was quoted saying that we had 130% increase. And so it was great to grow our membership, and LOWAC creates a forum to showcase our local arts community and also be different networking opportunities, bringing them out in the forefront because LOWAC is not just about Artsfest and these other initiatives, but also showcasing on our platform these arts that are in our area.
And you had mentioned 47% said they want to volunteer. Hey, how do they volunteer?
So we are looking for not only volunteers the day of the festival, but also we're looking for those people that want to get involved in the planning committee as soon as next month to talk about the setup and getting ready for the setup and tear down, coordinating artists and other volunteers, the kids zone, helping with marketing, communication, fundraising. And so we are looking for volunteers to help us make Artsfest the success it is year after year, as leading into it as well as on the day of.
I get the sense that if anyone has a skill, they can find a use for it at either on the planning committee or as a volunteer.
Oh yeah, like it's about the fact that you can volunteer and not necessarily be the artisan, but maybe you have a different idea of how we can better communicate, better fundraise differently, set up the festival with different flow. So we're looking for anyone and everyone who wants to get involved with LOWAC and making Artsfest the success it is.
What I think is wonderful is when you volunteer for something like LOWAC or Artsfest and you haven't been involved, like you said, in art or even community events, you learn new skills, you stretch yourself, you connect to a new family almost.
Well, it's getting a different network and also bringing your network in. Like, we all walk through different lives and have different connections. And so let's feature those connections and those ideas, because it's not the fact that it's a cookie cutter event. And so we're looking for volunteers to get involved over the next couple of months, as well as needing volunteers over the day of.
Well, thank you, Helena.
Thank you for having me, Sallie.
My pleasure. And I would just like to say that volunteers really do make it happen everywhere in Kenora. And this sounds like a wonderful opportunity to stretch yourself, get involved. Until next time.